Hi, thanks for joining me. So I'm going to make a video that I said I was not going to make when Kino asked me recently if I was going to make a 2018 Game of the Year video. And the reason I have reconsidered is I was just looking through my trophies, and I realized, well, I haven't played a lot of games this year, and I don't think I have a lot of insightful things to say about them, but I did play a number of games, and I thought it might just be fun for you guys to hear what I played and what I thought of what I did play this year. So let's do that as briefly as possible. For starters, we have Steins Gate Zero. Now, this is, I don't know, spoiler, maybe this is probably my game of the year. Even though it did come out last year, I started it last year, I got it for Christmas, and I played it from basically December 25th to about January 13th, I think, this year. And I absolutely loved it. It probably took me about 2.5 weeks to get through. It's a narrative-based game. It's 99% narrative. It's 1% gameplay. But I love the Steins Gate story, the Steins Gate anime. I played the original visual novel, and this is the first time I got to play the visual novel, having not watched the anime. Because originally I watched the anime for Steins Gate, this first Steins Gate, and it was just fantastic. I honestly think that that Steins Gate Zero, the visual novel, is better than the first visual novel. It expands on I guess just the narrative style, following some different characters and things like that. Again, if you want to get my full thoughts on it, just watch my video on it. But I absolutely loved that game, obviously. Completely platinumed it. It was great. Next up, I played Stranger of Sword City. Now, this is a dungeon crawling RPG by Experience. And it's my second Experience dungeon crawling RPG. This is on the Vita. My first one being, I believe, Demon's Gaze. The first Demon Gaze. And I enjoyed that game. I just got to a certain boss and it was kind of a pain in the butt, and then I just sort of lost interest in it. So I figured, well, this is going to be the Experience dungeon crawler that I really get into. So I played a bunch of it. You can see here I got 24% of the trophies. I don't really remember exactly how long I spent playing it. I think via the trophies I only spent about 3 days playing it, but I think I played a lot during those days. So I probably got I might have gotten 10, 15, maybe even 20 hours into it in those days. Maybe that's pushing it a little bit, but I sunk some time into it. But it just, I kind of burnt out on it again. And it made me decide, well, maybe dungeon crawlers aren't really for me anymore, or new ones, or maybe Experiences dungeon crawlers aren't really for me. I don't know. So I moved on to Yakuza 5 a little bit later. This is, of course, the digital version. This was the only way that it was released in English in North America. And it was great. I played all of the first chapter, which I believe is Kazuma Kiryu's chapter, if I can say his name correctly. And it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. I do feel like, at least what I played of it so far, like maybe there was some sort of mini game from Yakuza 4 that I really enjoyed that was missing in this or something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but suffice to say, like I don't feel like it was as good as that game so far. But being Yakuza 5, I assume it might have 5 chapters to it. It at least has more than one, because I started in on the second chapter and you did start playing with a different character. But I was just, again, kind of burnt out on it after having spent so long playing the first chapter. I pretty much did everything you could possibly do in it. So I'm looking forward to going back to that game, but it's not something I revisited. You can see I only have 15% of the trophies, so I definitely have a lot more of Yakuza 5 to play. Next up, we have Knights of Usher. Now, this is a game that I just popped in to try out, and for just trying it out, I actually got a handful of trophies here, apparently 13% of the trophies. I think I just played this for an evening, but I probably put a good few hours into it, and I seem to remember it being relatively pleasant and interesting, something I was intending to come back to, but again, this year I have not felt like playing games, and it's really tough for me to, like, I think a game really has to grab me, whereas, like, this is the kind of game that, were things different, I would just enjoy sitting down and passing the time with. Now, it's hard to bring myself to play stuff. So I didn't. I only played it for an evening, and that's it. So next up we have Terra. Now I talked about this a little bit before. It's like an older MMORPG that was ported to the PlayStation 4, and it's free. I was playing it with my friends for a little bit. I don't know if I just popped in to, like, I don't know, check my dailies and see if I felt like playing a little bit more of it, or if there was some sort of holiday event going on or something like that, or who knows what. But I don't really remember how much of that I played this year. Um, I got 34% of the trophies. I guess, I would say that's cool, but it's not. I don't care. So, just something I was playing to pass the time. Fallout 4. Now, I popped this back in just to play a little bit more. It's a fun game. It's a fun universe. Maybe it was because Fallout 76 was going to come out soon, and I don't know, I just felt like playing a little more Fallout 4. I've gotten at least one of the endings. I think maybe only one, but maybe two. I sort of forget how many endings I got on that. But yeah, it's a fun game. I don't think I'm going to try to platinum it. I don't even know if I'm going to get any of the other endings, but it's the kind of thing once in a while. Maybe I'll just pop it in to have fun again in that world. I definitely enjoy Bethesda's Fallout games. Maybe Fallout 76 aside, that's nothing. I never wanted to play Fallout games multiplayer with my friends. I think, like, that's one of those things. Be wary what you wish for. I mean, people are like, oh, I want to play Fallout Online. I want to play Fallout Online. Well, Bethesda listened, and you can play Fallout Online, and it seems like nobody's happy with it. So, sucks to be you. But the next thing I played here is Tokyo Tattoo Girls. Now, this is a game that my buddy got me. This is a Vita game. Something that was published by Nippon Ichi. And, kind of up my alley. It's like cute anime girls doing something. I mean, in this case, they're getting tattoos, I guess. And it's pretty fun. I got, I guess, 36% of the trophies. I didn't actually check to see how long I played this, but I probably played it over a few days. And my main issue with it, I would say, is that it plays kind of like a mobile game. I mean, and granted, I haven't played very many mobile games, but I guess just for like a full sort of retail release, they got a boxed release and everything for the Vita. It just felt a little small, or a little, and small is okay, but like just not quite as a little shallow, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But for what it was, I've enjoyed it. You basically choose one character, and you're trying to take over all of the wards of Tokyo. And it's in some sort of like alternate bizarre future, but basically it's sort of like Tokyo's been abandoned to people with, I don't know, some sort of supernatural abilities or something, and if you tattoo them, like, it unlocks their abilities or something like that. So you're basically this tattoo artist, and you can you choose a girl. Basically, she starts off in one of the I don't want to say prefectures. I guess those are like states, more like, I kind of forget what they're called. Anyway, wards, I guess. So she starts off in one of the wards, and so you're just working to tattoo her more so that she gets more powerful, and you send out people to, basically, you're like recruiting and you're attacking other wards, I guess. And I'm a little foggy on it, but it's essentially just basically a strategy game, but it's very bare bones. And that's not to say like it's bad. Like I said, I think for like what I played of it, I enjoyed it, but I basically finished it with a couple of the girls, and then I was like, well, is there any point in really finishing this with the rest of the girls? Because, like, they had endings and stuff like that, but I think maybe I was hoping for like something a little bit more like Criminal Girls, where I think that had a little more meat to it. It was a more interesting game. This is, it's decent, but it's a little bare bones. I wouldn't say don't play it. I would, if it sounds interesting, you should definitely give it a shot. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't spend a lot on it, I guess. And finally on this screen is Utawareru Mono Mask of Deception. Now, this is one that I had high hopes for. This is Aqua Plus, and Alex from Return to Mother Base has spoken highly of this game, and I just really wanted to like it. There's, a couple games in the series, and they've come out here, and I really want to support that. But I sat down and I played a good portion of this. I've only got about 11% of the trophies, but I feel like I played this for at least 5, 6, 7 hours maybe, and I just wasn't really feeling it. I just didn't really enjoy it. I mean, at first I was just playing and I'm like, okay, this is essentially a visual novel. So I was just playing it kind of for the narrative, although I know that there are strategy RPG elements to it. So I was prepared to enjoy that, but I was just prepared to sit down and just sort of read through this game kind of the same way that I read through Steins Gate Zero, let's say. And I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be like as good as Steins Gate Zero, but I realized that the main shtick of the comedy, at least in the story so far, I mean, it's essentially like an isekai. Like you wake up, you're not really sure what's going on. You're in this unfamiliar world. You meet these unfamiliar characters, and some of them are like basically just sort of naturally everyone is like stronger than you, and I mean just sort of like physically more capable. And in fact that's sort of the crux of the humor, is that you're sort of always being put upon by the other main character, this girl that you run into, and you're basically like kind of having to prove yourself in this world where you're like completely unfamiliar, and you're also just like not you're not really as capable as any of the other like fighters in your group and things like that. Although I guess I kind of forget. I think you do have some sort of like innate ability that's pretty useful, um, but yeah, it was just sort of like a lot of kind of slapstick humor in a way, like at the expense of the main character, and that's fine. But like just as I was reading through it, I'm like, this is falling flat for me. I like at first I wasn't being overly critical of it, but as the hours went on and I get into hour, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, I'm kind of going, am I having fun with this? And I was like, no, I'm not. So yeah, I put that one down. That's too bad, and I don't really see myself going back to Utawareru Mono. And if that's a huge mistake, please let me know. If somebody out there is like, man, you are selling this game so short, I want to hear that. But I guess I have better games to play, or no games to play, as you'll see from this. I really haven't played a whole lot more. So next up is Dungeon Travelers 2. Having had the experience with the experience dungeon crawler that I had, I kind of wanted to play another dungeon crawler just to see if dungeon crawlers are a modern day genre that I'm actually going to enjoy playing or not. Additionally, having just had the experience I had with Utawareru Mono, Dungeon Travelers is another Aqua Plus game, and I kind of wanted to see if Aqua Plus is a company that I'm going to enjoy playing their new games these days. So, I have to say, I think the answer is probably yes to both of those questions. It's a little hard to say, but I did enjoy my time with Dungeon Travelers 2, and it's a little hard to put my finger on exactly why. I would say so far it's been one of those things where it didn't necessarily do anything like so great that I'm like, oh, this is what was really good about the game, but it basically didn't do anything bad. So it was unoffensive enough that I totally enjoyed what I played of it. And maybe I just haven't played enough of it to get to a point where I'm just I mean, I did get bored or somehow distracted with it, so I did stop playing it. But you can see I got 27% of the trophies, and who knows? I didn't check to see how long I played it, but I feel like I played quite a bit of it, and I liked it. I'm planning to go back and play some more of it. So maybe I'll have more to say about that at some point. But suffice to say, Dungeon Travelers 2's good so far. Next up, I played Warriors All-Stars, and this is a game that my buddy got me, I think, for my birthday. And he came over and was like, "Hey, did you check out that Warriors game yet?" And I was like, "No, let's pop it in." So we actually just popped it in and played together. You can see we only got 4% of the trophies. We probably played it for an hour, tops, maybe an hour and a half or two. And but it was fun. What we played of it, it's a like a Dynasty Warriors game with a bunch of characters from different games. It's got honestly, the only characters I cared about were Dead or Alive, pretty much. So as far as I'm concerned, it's Dynasty Warriors Dead or Alive, and that's fine with me. So yeah, I might play some more of that. I mean, those games are sort of fun, and like I said, I like the Dead or Alive characters, so that's kind of the novelty of that for me. So I'm planning to go back and play some more of that. Again, it's like if just my head was in a different space, I would be playing more of these games just because I do like playing games, but like it's like I'm too. It's not that I don't have time, but it's just hard. It's hard for me to focus on games. It's just a little tough for me right now. No Man's Sky. You guys know I like this game. I've gotten 68% of the trophies in this, and you may or may not be aware, but there was another big update this year. They were the gaming press and YouTube were going nuts about it for quite a while, so you've probably heard about No Man's Sky Next, I believe is the update. And since then, they've even done more updates, adding more features to the game. But, a year and a half ago or something, maybe, I don't really remember when, I did a video about No Man's Sky just talking about the updates that they had done since the game launched. And I liked those updates. I liked the game when it launched, unlike most people who I think got some sort of weird ideas in their head about the game. I kept my expectations realistic. I understood that this development team is they're indie developers and it's an indie game, and I expected basically what I got out of it, and I enjoyed what I got out of it. But I've enjoyed the updates, the new vehicles they added, and the new base building I thought was super cool. So I was pretty on board when Next launched. I figured, hey, let me hop back in and give this another try. I'd probably put 100 hours or so into the game between the two other times I played it, and I was pretty disappointed to start off with. For starters, they really threw existing players under the bus. Uh, when I went back to the planet that I was on, that I had built my base on, come to find out they had reseeded the entire universe. The planet that I built my base on was completely different than it had been originally, and my base was gone. Now, they were planning to make it so that you could restore your bases. They had said that you could restore your bases, but there was actually an issue with it where you couldn't find any place to restore your bases. So we had to wait for them to patch in a fix so that you could restore your old base. So I was fairly disgruntled with the whole thing. I thought that the graphical upgrade was not really worth changing the look of all of the planets and all the places people had named, and taking everyone's bases away, and I was pretty much ready to just put the game down. But I'm a sucker, so much a sucker for the concept of No Man's Sky. I love the concept of it, and I couldn't stay away from it. I put it back in. I really just wanted to kind of check out the freighters, because I hadn't really gotten a freighter, or I was saving up to get a freighter. And come to find out, in the next expansion, they basically made the freighters a lot cheaper and easier to get. And so I got a freighter and tried out the missions and built up my fleet and that sort of stuff, and I enjoyed that. And come to find out, they did patch in the ability for legacy bases, as they call them, to be reestablished on new planets. So I found another planet I liked, and I reestablished my legacy base. And it's not perfect. It feels a little out of place, and the grass is growing up through the floor, which is annoying, and one of my guys in the base fell halfway through the floor, and he's just floating in air, and I don't think there's any way to fix any of that stuff. It's pretty half-assed, but just the fact that I can get back at my resources that were on the base, all my farming stuff, and I can still farm for money and stuff like that, it won me over, and I played the game for another 50 hours probably. So I probably have about 150 hours in that game. I can't help it. Like I said, I really dig the whole concept of that game. I think it's a ton of fun. Next, I popped in White Album 2. This was obviously on PS3, and it's because I was studying Japanese, and I figured, well, I should be playing some games in Japanese. White Album 2, I've wanted to play. And I started reading it, and I was just like, dude, I can't do this. And it was annoying me, because I've studied so much Japanese, but I told you guys, I probably have 7,000 vocab words to study. And I have a lot of ground to cover on vocab, and it just means that I can't read a lot of stuff as well as I would like to. I can certainly get through White Album 2 if I just want to focus on the fun things that I do understand. But if I really want to understand everything in it, man, I gotta study a lot more. And so I put that in for like 10 minutes, and then I just said, forget this. Um, and I guess the final game I've really been playing this year is Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Fortune. Now, this is just a, a nice game. It's relaxing to play. It came out, quite a while ago. I did a video a review that I like quite a bit about it. If you guys want to check that out, if you haven't. Um, and you just get to spend some time with some beautiful ladies from Dead or Alive, virtually, and buy them bathing suits, and it doesn't have to be awkward, and you don't spend real money or any of those things, so I find it very enjoyable. And, basically I'm going for a platinum on this. I think I'm, taking my time. I'm not in any sort of rush, but just, I guess out of, like, the games that I can handle right now that don't, like, stress me out, and if I just need to like focus on something pleasant for a little bit, Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Fortune I can play. And I got a handful of the sets. Like, you basically just have to get, I think, 20 swimsuits for the girls, and you'll get a trophy for that. And I don't know if that's the full set of all of their bathing suits, but it's at least a large portion of it. And then you can get the girls' special vacations. It's basically like getting their endings. And I think, I could probably get another one or two special endings at least. So that was fun this year. And there is another game at the top of there, but it's something that I got for Christmas, and I will talk about that in a Christmas loot video. In fact, it's basically going to be like all of my pickups from 2018 video, because I've picked up almost nothing. I think I've picked up 2 things this year. And then I got a Christmas gift I think that you guys would be interested in. But I actually got quite a bit of money for the holidays this year. And, being poor, I basically need to like ration that pretty strictly, but I'm planning to spend it on like a couple more things that I think you guys would think are pretty cool. So once I pick those things up, I'll do a little pickups video just for you guys, because I figure you might enjoy it. But this video, as usual, has gone on way longer than I expected, so suffice to say, Steins Gate Zero I think is easily my game of the year. If I'm gonna have one, that's what it is. And yeah, I hope this was fun for you guys. I hope that you'll join me again for more video game and anime related videos, and let me know, what you guys played this year that you think are the standout games. If you want to share that with me, I'd be super interested in it. And otherwise, I just hope you'll join me again. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.